You are listening to the Success Leaves Clues podcast,
where we're having conversations with regular people doing outstanding and legacy-changing things in corporate America and entrepreneurship.
If you're looking for the blueprint to help you make less mistakes on your journey to freedom and ultimate purpose, then this is the podcast for you.
And now, here's your host, Dr. K. Dr. K.
Hey, so I'm here today with Christina Lael. She's the owner of a wonderful tax business. It's Freedom Tax Solutions. Did I get it right?
Freedom Tax Plans.
Freedom Tax Plans. But what's intriguing is that you're very accomplished. You're an attorney, an accountant, which you don't see too many of both, and obviously an entrepreneur. So
I am. Yes. Thank you, Dr. K, for having me on your podcast. I really appreciate it. I'm honored.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Thanks for coming. So let's talk first about kind of what I touched on. I kind of want to know why the two different avenues. I'm sure they tie together, but I don't see too many professionals in both fields.
Right.
So
yeah, you don't see too many professionals. So I was the CPA first, certified public accountant, okay, which does not stand for can't pass again, as some people might intimate.
Like the bar, maybe.
And That's right. And so I was working for a Fortune 500 company in the tax department, and there were a few CPAs and attorneys, and not many, but a few, because it's a great combination to be a tax attorney, is being a CPA and an attorney. And it was in Nashville, Tennessee, if you can't tell by my accent. And when I was working for this company, I decided after passing my CPA exam for the first time that I took it, that I decided to go to law school, which worked out great because in Nashville, they've got a great law school called Nashville School of Law, which you can go to at night while you still work. So I was able to attend law school and graduated debt-free, and was also able to study with the top tax attorneys in Nashville, where I learned how to reduce people's taxes legally and efficiently and effectively by studying the tax code and the tax court cases. And so that's what I do. And my business just really flourished because I started doing my classmates' tax returns and started helping them. And it just grew and grew so quickly and organically, so that even though I love my job in corporate America, I never planned to be an entrepreneur, but I became one pretty quickly, learned the ropes. And because my business was just growing so quickly, because I was helping people save money in taxes. And it's so hard to find someone that does that, because most CPA firms or accountants do not do tax planning like I do. So I quit my job and then started my own company, and it's just really grown by leaps and bounds. And I have an amazing team now, and just love working with people and helping people save money in taxes.
How was that journey in the corporate sector? Did you start with one of the big five, or was it just like a smaller firm that you started with?
No, it was actually not even really an accounting firm, but I worked for a Fortune 500 company in their accounting department. And I worked for a few companies and ended up at Fortune 500 in their accounting and tax departments. Yeah.
And so you said you was helping a lot of your classmates, colleagues, or what have you. And that's different for me, because a lot of times when I hear about tax breaks or things that you can do to save on taxes, it's usually for businesses. And you were able to save people money also as an individual. Or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I can help business owners and individuals save money in taxes. Now, what started to happen is that I work with a lot of people one-on-one, and I was getting to the point where I was having to turn people away because I was just so busy. So what I did is I created this program called Freedom Tax Plans, where it's guaranteed to save any business owner thousands of dollars in taxes, or I give you 110% of your money back. And what that is a program that I created, and there's nothing else like it on the market, where any business owner can go in, answer a few questions, watch the videos, and then Freedom Tax Plans will implement the strategies for that person and show them the strategies that are applicable to their situation with some brief videos and documentation and forms and some simple instructions so that they save money in taxes. And it's a fraction of the cost of what it is to work with me right now. I've got it priced ridiculously low because I want business owners to really take advantage of all the great loopholes, basically, and things you can deduct on your tax return that are in the tax code that most 99% of business owners just aren't doing because they aren't able to work with tax attorneys like myself.
Right. I know most people, and I can speak for myself. I hear about the possibility of saving on your taxes, but I don't really know what those things are or what can be saved. So I know it's out there. I know it's possible, but your planning solution, does it work to do forward planning, or is it just more so like a TurboTax type where you're filing your taxes?
So it doesn't file your taxes. That's totally different. This is how to save money in taxes. So it's similar to like LegalZoom or maybe TurboTax, where you go through and answer some questions and then it like files your tax return, or with LegalZoom, it produces a will or trust or whatever. Yep. But with this, it's for tax savings. So you answer the questions and then it shows you how to implement the strategies to basically to increase your business expenses without actually spending more money. It also looks at your type of entity and how your entity is taxed. And then it tells you at the end, these are the strategies that you should use. These are all the documentation and the forms and the simple instructions to implement each strategy. So it does everything for you. And if you're filing your own tax return, you can keep doing that. Or if you have someone that's filing the tax return for you, but they aren't doing any tax planning, which is most CPAs and accounting firms, you can still have them continue to do your tax returns. So that's one way. And again, it's a fraction of the cost to work with me individually. Yeah. Or you can still take on clients to work individually for a customized tax plan. But I have free webinars for your listeners, Dr. K, at freedomtaxplans.com. And if they click on podcast listeners in the top right-hand corner, there are some free webinars, and I tell and show you and talk about 5 tax saving strategies for any business owner.
Thank you for that. You got ahead of me because I was going to ask for something for the listeners, but it's great that they can go to that. And I'm going to go to it myself. I'm going to use that as a cheat code and try to find out about the planning. I have a LLC structure. I do own a couple of businesses. My wife also owns a couple, but I guess it's important because there's so many different ways to structure your business, and nobody has ever really told me which one was the best. I went with the LLC, but that's just because I figured it was what I needed. But your software will also help determine what's the best entity structure?
Yes, it will. And you will be surprised.
And how does that work? Is it doing a step-by-step? What type of questions is it asking me? So it's basically taking me through an interview or an assessment to find out what's the best for me?
It is. And I go into it more in the free webinars and kind of show you the tax saving strategies, give you a little bit more information and telling you that I'm going through this very quickly, but in Freedom Tax Plans, it goes into a lot more detail, but it'll tell you which one is best for you depending on your situation and how you answer the questions. And then I have some videos. And what's great about it, Dr. K, is that you don't have to change your LLC entity. So the way you register your business with your state, which is like an LLC, that's great. You don't have to change that at all. But at the federal level, or how it's taxed, then that can be changed or modified without actually changing the basic structure of your business a lot of times. So in your case, I know for sure, for your case, you can still be an LLC. You don't have to change that with the state. You don't have to create a whole new entity. You don't have to do anything with how it's registered with the state. It's all in how it's taxed, which is different. And it's in following the Freedom Tax Plans program, answering the questions, it'll tell you exactly how to do that and create all the forms and documentation that you need.
All right. How was it getting into entrepreneurship? Because you said it wasn't really planned. So how did that kind of evolve?
Right. It wasn't. My business just grew so quickly, and I realized that what I was doing, helping people save money in taxes and more at the lower level or smaller businesses or smaller people, that wasn't quite as big as working with people with the Fortune 500 or working with the Fortune 500 company. I really enjoyed that. I actually loved it. And of course, it was very successful. And so when I started my own business, it was just me and one other employee when I was doing it full time. But I thought, oh, I like this. I loved having that time freedom. That was amazing. Of course, I've heard the adage of you work 80 hours a week for yourself, so you don't have to work 40 hours a week for someone else. And that was me at the beginning, but now I've been able to build an amazing team, and I've been able to cut back some, so I do still have that time freedom. And so I just, read books, listened to podcasts, and just have learned so much, building my team and then dealing with, different things and just from experience. But I've been so blessed to have such an amazing, successful company and such a great team that I've been able to build.
Yeah. How'd you go about building such an amazing team?
Oh, well, actually, so in the winter, I'm in Fort Myers, Florida, and there's a great personnel company owned by a lady, Lori Lane, shout out to her, who is amazing. And she's had this personnel company, headhunter type of company for over 20 years. And I went to her actually, and she has found some amazing people for me in that area. Now I had to let some people go that didn't work out. And at first, I remember the first time I had to fire someone, it was so hard and I didn't want to do it. And then after that first one, I'm like, if they didn't work out, I'm like, you're fired. I was like Trump, I guess, like, you're fired. I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hear
that
it's better to. Oh, no, go ahead.
I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
Now, there might be a little bit of delay because it's a stream, but I've heard that it's better to hire slow and fire fast. So while it may not feel good letting somebody go, sometimes it can actually be a benefit for that person, because if they're in the wrong place, it's not good for your company, but it's also not good for them either.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And in fact, I've gotten so good at it now and so quick to pull the trigger if it doesn't work out. I think my husband was a little worried at one point if I was going to fire him.
No, don't let him go. What does he do?
No, I won't let him go. Well, he actually doesn't, just fire him as being a husband, I think.
Okay. I thought it was more of a family structure. Okay. He's doing, maybe one role within the company.
Although at the beginning, sorry about the delay, but I did hire his mom for a little. Okay. Yeah. So I did hire his mom for a little bit, and I did have to fire her.
What was she doing? Or maybe not doing?
This was at the beginning when I was still working part-time and still had my corporate job, and she was just helping me enter in information. And it just wasn't a good fit.
Yeah. Well, that's good still that, like I said, that you identify, those things and make the tweaks and adjustments. I think that's a lot of times what helps a company grow fast, and is that you're not taking so much time, doing the wrong things. You make those corrections and you can, quickly pivot.
Mm-hmm. And we're still on speaking terms, so that's good.
That's awesome. And also help with the husband relationship. You don't have to fire him because cause extra static.
That's right.
Yeah. So what do you see, for the business growth here in the near future?
Well, right now it's hard to hire anyone else because of the Great Resignation. I think that a lot of people are dealing with. So right now we're just maintaining and trying to offer the best kind of services that we can, and with our increased clientele. But really, Dr. K, that's another reason why I created Freedom Tax Plans, so that a lot of people could use this program without necessarily becoming our client, so that they could save money in taxes, but still either file tax returns themselves or continue to use a person that that have been filing their tax returns. And what I've really been focusing on as well is improving the processes so that we can be more effective with the team that we have. And we've had a lot of great success with that. We use a wonderful system called Jetpack. If anyone's in the accounting world, they may be familiar with that. And it's a great way to keep us on track. And I think just my employees are, growing and improving just like I am, which is That's really awesome. Super fun to see.
Yeah, when you talk about improving your processes, how do you go about identifying a process that needs improvement?
Well, sometimes, a lot of times by trial and error and seeing cracks in the system or things that fall through, and you realize that needs to be fixed. So that's what we've done is, if anything does fall through or mistakes are made, like, how do we correct it? How can we be better? How can we communicate better, be more efficient, and also save time? We just don't have the time to overlap things or for there to be miscommunication. What's the best way to do things as efficiently as possible? Which is, again, to go back to Freedom Tax Plans, again, another reason why I created that, because I knew that there was a tax saving strategies that any business owner could use, but they don't have the time. I can't work with each one of them individually. And so that was a way to improve the process and make it more efficient and get it out there so that people could use it and save money in taxes, especially for any business owner.
Right. So is it something that that the client is going to pay for monthly, or is it an annual thing that, okay, I'm going to come back every year, I'm going to check and see, am I applying the right tax, benefits or deductions so that I can, have the most impact out of this year for my business? Or is it something that I want to have ongoing, monthly, that I'm, coming in and I'm putting in, maybe, P&Ls and I'm seeing how I'm doing on a monthly basis?
Mm-hmm. So once you sign up, you get the subscription for an entire year.
Okay.
And you can go through the process as many times as you want. So if anything were to change, and it would create any documentation or forms that you would need to show you, how to save money in taxes. And as long as the tax code doesn't change, which it rarely changes, then you just use those same strategies year after year after year. Okay. But right now it's, like I said, ridiculously low amount of money to sign up. And what I tell people is, if you don't save in the first year, the amount that you paid for the program, we actually give you 110% of your money back.
That's incredible. I don't know. I don't think anybody would offer that. So that's incredible. So does does the planning help you to know if there's a right time to not take as many deductions? So I guess the issue that a lot of entrepreneurs run into is you get to a point where you're trying to deduct because you want to keep your tax liability down. But then there comes a certain point where now I've got to prove to the bank that I've made X amount so that I can purchase a home or buy a car. And it's like, well, I made a lot of money, but I had a lot of deductions. So maybe the following year, I don't want to do quite as much. Does it work that way, or what's the best strategy for that?
Oh, yeah. The IRS does not care if you actually report more income than maybe what you could have, because you need to prove that income. So you can certainly do that. And with my own clients, we've had that situation. And sometimes what I've been able to do, and certainly individually, people can do this, is actually talk to their bank and say, look, I really had this amount of money in income, but I use this amazing program called Freedom Tax Plans, recommended to me by a tax attorney. And I was able to deduct these items, even though it really still stayed within the family. And we really had access to that cash. And we've had some good luck with that. But yeah, no, if you want to report more income because you need to, buy a house or get a loan or whatever, the IRS does not care if you report more income than maybe you necessarily had to. So you can totally do that.
Good. So you're not spending the rest of your entrepreneur journey or life, in the hole and can't afford the things that you're working so hard to actually get.
Right. And it's not like for a lot of people, Dr. K, it's not like we wipe out their entire income, year after year after year. Mm-hmm. We just have them reduce their income to reduce their taxes. So, if you're having a really great business and you're making a lot of money, we can just, we reduce it percentage wise. It's quite a significant difference, but you're still making some income. And that's really whether you purchase Freedom Tax Plans or you decide to work with me one-on-one, which of course I still do.
Okay. Is it beneficial to actually do both? Is it maybe more beneficial to say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and do Freedom Tax Plans so that way I can have the planning portion and I'm implementing some things on my own, but then I come to you and your team for maybe something, a little more niche?
So some people have done that where they sign up for Freedom Tax Plans and then maybe the next year they say, oh, okay, I'm really making more money now and I need some more advanced tax saving strategies. So that's really the difference, is that if you work with me one-on-one, you get more advanced tax saving strategies and we do everything for them, including implementing the tax saving strategies, preparing their tax returns. So we've had some people like sign up for Freedom Tax Plans, and then after a while, they say, okay, I think I need some more advanced tax saving strategies, or I really want you to prepare the tax returns, because we make sure that those tax saving strategies actually, make it onto the tax return to make a difference.
That's the important part.
But yes. But if there's any doubt, you can always start with Freedom Tax Plans and then move. You can contact it. There's many ways to contact us through Freedom Tax Plans or just emailing us to upgrade or work with us individually.
All right. So is there ever a certain point? I know you said you don't really want to, the goal isn't to wipe out 100% of your income. I mean, that's not what you're looking to do. Just change, maybe drop you into a lower bracket, for example. But is there ever a time when you have too many deductions? Because I know there's a deduction now because of COVID that you can write off 100% of your meal deductions, for, business expenses if you're having a business meeting, maybe at a restaurant. So is there ever a point where it's like, oh man, I've got all of these deductions that I'm eligible for, but maybe I only want to take a certain percentage of those because it's actually going to be too much?
Oh no, take them all.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And the reason that I say that is take as many, many of the deductions that you can, because if you report a loss, that can reduce maybe other income that you have. Maybe your spouse works and maybe even has a W-2 job. Or if not, the losses just carry forward year after year, so that when you do make more income down the road, you'll have those losses that you carry forward to counteract that. So I always recommend taking as many as you can.
Christina, I'm loving this because I did not know that. I didn't know the losses carry forward. I thought everything was year to year.
No, they can carry forward. Mm-hmm.
I guess that's why you need an expert, right?
That's right.
So I know you are a self-proclaimed nerd. I want to share with you, I am also a nerd. So I love podcasting. I love the show. This is, just everything about me is for this show. But my background is in information technology. And so I'm an IT nerd, and I'm self-proclaimed nerd as well. So I love to, get in the weeds about that field as well. So I know where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's great. That's very important. We have a great IT person on my team that we could not live without.
Yeah, it's important, especially with you being in not only an entrepreneur and a business owner, but an accountant in your background. So a lot of times people don't see the value in IT. So I'm really glad that you said that, because it's one of those expenses that are for a corporation that they don't see a return. There's not really an ROI. It's just something that you have to do to sustain the business. But it's one of those like CapEx things that they're like, okay, I'm just burning money on the IT department. But trust me, it's important. You're going to get your value from it.
Yes. And my dad is actually a computer programmer, and I almost went into computer programming in college. So I definitely know the value. I have really invested a lot in our core securities. I mean, we have the best security systems. We use security systems similar to what banks use to communicate with our clients and make sure that, again, that's a great way to automate processes and to make sure that you're not overlapping or wasting. Yeah, IT is, and of course, I really use IT to create freedom tax plans and hired a programmer for that.
Yeah, you need that for the application. And then, like you said, security. You don't. You definitely want to value that when you're taking in, people's personal information and stuff for the application. So I love seeing that.
Yes.
So freedom tax plans.
Yes, I've invested a lot into that. And
no, it's just awesome all the way around. So I'm loving it.
Yeah.
So what do you want the client, the ideal client that comes and becomes a customer of Freedom Tax Plans? What do you want them to really take from their experience with it?
Well, to save money in taxes and in ways that they had no idea that they could do. Or maybe, like you were saying, like, I've heard of these strategies, or maybe I heard someone say you could do this, but I didn't know how or how it worked. And it does everything for you and makes sure that all the strategies are implemented correctly, and any documentation that they need is automatically created for them. But people are just loving it. The people that have signed up, and really, we don't have a lot of questions, but we definitely have a way to answer any questions that they may have. But they just absolutely love it and are thrilled with the results of being able to save money in taxes.
That's good. It's important. They're happy. But you hit on a key thing, and it's the documentation. I've heard a lot of what's probably misinformation. I'm not sure. I don't, because it's not my profession. But I've heard people say different ways that you can document your deductions so that it satisfies the IRS, right? And some people are, keep every receipt. Some people are journal it. I've heard some people say as long as you use a credit card and it's in your ledger somewhere in your statement. So it's good to have a software like Freedom Tax Plans that can actually help you do the right thing and have the right documentation without the guesswork.
Yes, absolutely. And I also have a free app, the Lael, Lael, Lael Tax app that you can download for free for your listeners. And that also allows you to keep pictures of your receipts and to keep track of your income and expenses and mileage, and gives you some great tax information. So that's a great free app that your listeners can download. And that is a mistake, that you can just rely on credit card statements or bank statements, although it's better to have that than nothing. But you really need to at least take a picture of that original receipt, or just save it on your computer somewhere. So many receipts now are electronic or can be emailed to you. So I have someone on my team that I forward those emails to her, and she saves them on a folder, or I used to do it myself. And just create a folder on your computer, tax year, and then each month create a folder, for January, February, and then just save those receipts for that month in those individual month folders. So if you did have to look at something or find something quickly, you could, instead of looking at a whole year's of receipts, you could look at the month folder, which would be helpful.
Makes a lot of sense. And stay organized is basically the key. So it's easy to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Christina, you've been doing above and beyond what I could have asked or expected you to do. You've given away so much, free stuff and access to the listeners. Most of the listeners are entrepreneurs, so they're going to be able to, catch your free webinars, take a look at the free Lael app, and hopefully become more happy customers for you, with Freedom Tax Plans. I didn't know you were going to give away so much.
Yes, I'm very generous.
Thank you.
Yeah, just go to freedomtaxplans.com. Upper right-hand corner says podcast listeners. Click that button. And then there's free webinars where I talk about the tax saving strategies, or you can book a meeting directly with me. But I'd highly recommend watching those free webinars. There's a lot of great information in those that will just, I think, delight your listeners.
Absolutely. So I did want to know, does Freedom Tax Plans, just to be clear, does it help? Is there anybody or any type of entrepreneur that it doesn't help? So, for example, if you're in like a goods or a service or in real estate, these are different tax strategies and, different requirements. Can anybody use Freedom Tax Plans, or is there a niche for it?
Mm-hmm. No, anyone. I created it for any business owner. And if for some reason you're not a business owner, but want some tax saving strategies, then you can just book a meeting with me individually. But I created Freedom Tax Plans for any business owner. And like I said before, even if you have a loss, you could create with Freedom Tax Plans more of a loss so that it can counteract other income you may have, or just be carried forward when you do start having a profit, because it can be used up pretty quickly.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. I just want to make sure everybody gets their questions answered and doesn't have any excuse why they can't go and check out Freedom Tax Plans. Well, thanks for spending time with me. Thanks for nerding out.
Yes, thank you, Dr. K.
It's been great. I enjoyed the conversation. You've got a wonderful smile.
Oh, well, thank you. That means a lot. That means more than anything. Thanks, Dr.
You do.
K.
I like to have a good time. So it's been pleasant. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this has been great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Success Leaves Clues podcast.
Be sure to follow Dr. K on Instagram at Dr. K Washington, or the podcast page at Success Leaves Clues Podcast. We'll see you here next time.